Matthew, Lauren, Spencer, it's a pleasure to meet you and congratulate you on winning the award as winners of the Compact Case category this year for your case, Nora Lang, Pay Equity at FTS. It's an outstanding case and a worthy winner, and congratulations again. And I'm really looking forward to hearing more about the case in this conversation. Lauren, perhaps I could come to you first and ask you to set the scene a little bit by telling us about the case and why you wrote it.
The case is about Nora Lang, who's a recent graduate of the HBA program at Ivey. And Spencer and I both went through the HBA program, and Professor Sooy is obviously a professor of the HBA program. And so this case is meant to be about a female graduate who starts what she thinks is going to be kind of her dream career in financial consulting. But unfortunately, on day one, she finds out that she is the victim of pay discrimination. And so the case really kind of highlights her journey and what she went through and kind of her considerations along the way about whether she should speak up, whether she should leave the company, what she owed herself, what she owed other women in the world or in the company itself, what she owed her male colleagues. So there's definitely a lot of considerations for that. That's kind of the story of the case.
And what learning would you like students to take away from working through the case?
I think for me, it's really just about, raising awareness about this issue. I think that a lot of people, perhaps don't really realize that this is still something that's going on in 2021. But unfortunately for women, this is all too common. And I think having these discussions at an earlier time, helps prepare, number one, women who are going through the HBA program or any other program that this case might be used in, better understand how to navigate these situations, because unfortunately, whether it comes to your pay or anything else, I think most women can probably tell you a story about a time that they've been discriminated against in the workplace. So, I think number one, helping women, but, perhaps even more importantly, helping build allies within the classroom and helping, the men and other folks understand that, this is a situation that the women are going to face, and understanding better how they can be allies and not kind of perpetuate this issue as they continue to, rise in their careers.
Now, I'm very interested in the dynamic of writing the case because you have a professor here with two students. How did you go about organizing the workload, and what was the approach that you took towards writing?
This case started with an email that I received. This is a true case, right? And so it came in. I had an email over the summer from a student who contacted me about this situation. And in that moment, I was terrified for her, and I realized not only could I not advise her, I truly had no idea how to approach the case. It was shocking to think that these stories, which I, associated with decades ago, were still occurring in the present. And so Nora's name has been disguised, but she's somebody that the three of us know very well. I don't think we could have done the case without her. Certainly, Lauren and Spencer, their voice is absolutely instrumental in helping manage this bridge between the case facts, the experience of this young professional. And I think, I don't want to speak for Lauren and Spencer, but we're really hopeful that this addresses an unmet need that's occurring in a lot of curriculums, that we need to prepare students for injustices, how to face them, not just in a kind of pie in the sky way, but tactically. There are real organizational challenges, but we have some responsibility to prepare our students. We spent just as long on the teaching note as we did on the case, and I hope that prepares faculty members to use the case, to use it well, and to navigate some problems that I think aren't well trodden in the textbooks.
I couldn't agree more. And especially in the instance of a case like this, which is a compact case, do you think that that increases the importance and the need for a longer teaching note?
Absolutely. And, for two reasons. One, as we just mentioned, this is a situation that I think there isn't a lot of existing textbook material to help guide. And it's something that I wouldn't want to put a professor in front of a class without a clear plan that's already identified some of the more difficult conversation points. As a professor myself, I certainly appreciate that. Even if I know that I will be dealing with a shortened class period, I still like to be able to think through the questions that could come up. And so we really spend a lot of extra time in attempting to answer those so that no faculty member would be kind of in the deep end without any help.
And the strength of the teaching note, I have to say, impressed the judging panel tremendously. It really works very well with the case.
Richard, can I say our Ivey Publishing, this is a case that received a lot of love also from the editors, from the editorial staff. It's something, as you noted, it's a important, relevant, current topic. And it's also something the editorial staff, I think, took a lot of, I'm searching for the word, Richard. They really felt it personally, and they too contributed to the case.
I think that comes across very strongly, and I'm very pleased that you've mentioned that. And the input of editorial staff is invaluable, isn't it? So if I could turn to you now, Spencer, you did a lot of the writing on this, and if I could ask you perhaps to talk about how you approached the business of taking the scenario and turning it into the structure of a case. Do you start with the learning objective, or do you dive right in and start playing around with the scenario and the structure? How do you go about the writing process?
Well, it was funny because I think for me, it was my first time ever writing a case. I was in my 4th year of university, and I wanted to write a case that I would enjoy in the classroom. And that's kind of the way I wanted to structure it around, as Lauren mentioned, she kind of did all of that primary research to start, and she brought that story to us. And I wanted to use that story and kind of create a case around the story that we were given. And then from there, building up the context, understanding the scenario of both kind of the geographical environment they're operating in both Canada and the UK, as well as understanding kind of the crux of that decision that Nora Lang was facing in the case. And from there, I think that the learning objectives really sprouted off of that and into the teaching note as well. And as Dr. Sooy mentioned, I think there wasn't a lot of theoretical work to kind of draw back on when we were first talking about this. So the story was really the crux of where we kind of built off of. And then we wanted to make sure that anyone who's teaching this case in the future had a plethora of knowledge in that teaching note that they can kind of draw upon within the conversation.
Finally, here's a way of winding up on a high. Let me ask you about winning the award. What does it mean to you?
Yeah, certainly it's an honor, I think, for all of us to win this award. But I think I speak for all of us when I say that, it's just a pleasure to see that this case is kind of being brought to the forefront and to understand that people are interested in discussing this important issue. I think whether our names are attached to it or not, we're all just happy to kind of see that this issue is going to be discussed and that we can build more awareness and more allyship around it. Of course, I'm happy for all of us that we're able to kind of be associated with this. And of course, maybe it'll help our professional careers in some way. But I really don't think that that's why any of us took this project on. And I think, all of us could have taken our names off this case and been just as excited about this win, whether it was us or anyone else or, ghostwriters or whatever the case may be.
Lauren, I agree that it really is, in a sense, for Nora and all of the other Noras out there, right? That's what we're most grateful for is hopefully this helps other students, other young professionals who face these sorts of situations, and may also just help diffuse these types of situations. We'd love to live in a world where this wasn't a necessary case, right? That being said, it is a great honor to receive this sort of praise from an organization like the Case Center. They're really, it's among the top honors you can receive in case writing, and it's certainly an honor to receive that praise from esteemed and experienced peers.
I wholeheartedly agree with my colleagues. When I first came into this process, like I mentioned, I was in my 4th year. I was part of a group at Ivey called Ally at Ivey, and I was their education coordinator. And the reason why we wanted to start writing more cases as a group, as a kind of a collective, was to promote diversity and equitable change within Ivey and in other business schools across the country. And now having this honor, I'm realizing that it can be kind of a larger impact than that, to the world and globally as well. And to me, that's the greatest honor, that our work was able to kind of make that impact, not only in our small community at Ivey, but across the world.
Yeah, if I could add, I think, I would just sum this up by saying, I don't think it's necessarily such a win for the 3 of us, but just, a win for women in the world.
Well said. Matthew, Lauren, Spencer, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Congratulations again, and may you write many more cases like this one and make a change in the world.
Thanks,
Richard. Yeah.
Thank you.